I'm Derek Neal. This is my wife, Joanna. We have two boys, Wes and Jet, and we've been going to RBC literally ever since we got married. So I used to go to this chiropractor about 7 years ago. His name was Dr. Eugene Sue. Out of the blue one day, I got a text message from this guy, Nathan, and he said that I'm new to the area, I work for Eugene. He told me that you guys go to Rest and Bible. Granted, I haven't probably talked to Eugene in 7 years, which was kind of crazy. And so Nathan said that, I'm here and I'm looking for a church. And I said, great, I'll meet you there. And so we met for church one day. And from there, we just started to have Nathan come over every week, every 2 weeks for dinner. I started to play in the soccer league with Nathan. I'm not a soccer player, but I started to play in this league. It was fun. But we really just created a relationship with Nathan. He was a great guy. We loved having him over.
So I'm Nathan Crane. I'm a chiropractor over in Ashburn. So I've been here for about 5 months now, and I've probably been attending Rest and Bible for 3.5 of that. I'm not really one to have a lot of superficial friends. I kind of pick just a couple of people and tend to, make those my go-tos. So they seem like the type of people that were, what I eventually wanted to be. So I think that first day I was over there for maybe 2 to 3 hours just talking to them right after church.
After about, I would say, 2 months of really getting to know Nathan, Joanna really started to ask more intentional questions to Nathan.
So one night when we were all hanging out, Derek was putting the babies to bed, and me and Nate and my sister were just hanging out talking, and we just started probing a little more. Why did you want to come to church when you moved to the area? What do you think about the Bible? Tell us a little more about your childhood, how you grew up. And he's so open, and so he was just sharing with us, and we were just getting to know him more and more.
So I figured that there was something going on there. But I mean, I'm definitely an open person. I was definitely searching for that. So I was just curious to kind of see where they were going to go with it, because I'd kind of heard all of it before, but just knowing them, I wanted to see how different it was when it came from their mouths.
And he had shared with us that he felt that church was a place where good moral people go, and he felt like he had just said right out, I'm not there yet. And it was clear to us that night that he didn't have a relationship with the Lord.
I didn't feel like being in church meant anything because I had seen so many people act so badly, the exact opposite of Christian lifestyle, but yet show up in church and claim this moral superiority over everyone. When you see that, I just couldn't reconcile that, and I couldn't say, this is right.
We talked about it, and we kind of just made the decision that we wanted to present the gospel to Nathan, and that's where it all kind of started.
I had never shared the gospel with anyone. I've talked about my faith before. I have talked about Jesus, but I've never actually sat down and presented the gospel of Jesus to somebody.
Nathan's incredibly intelligent, and so we wanted to first show him a video. There's one from Nabil Qureshi, and talking about the historical reasons, facts surrounding Jesus' death and resurrection. I thought it would be a great video to show him. We texted Nathan, said, hey Nate, just come over for dinner like any other night. And so Nate came over.
So basically they brought me in, we kind of talked a little bit, and it was almost that, hey, how you doing? The opening chit chat, and you could almost see behind their eyes, like they're just like waiting for that intro point to start.
So we watched the video. We're like, Nate, what did you think about that? And he's like, yeah, it was good. And we felt like we were just bringing it back to narrow it down to who Jesus was and the gospel and what Jesus was offering him.
We talked a little bit about just the decision, what they were going to do, like what they had prayed about and things they wanted to share. I mean, I definitely know what Christianity is, but it was the decision behind it, kind of the facts, or what I could say was definitely true, is what they wanted to help me with.
And so we got to a point in the conversation where we just said, hey Nate, have you ever heard of the Romans Road? We would like to present the gospel to you. Is this something that, would you allow us? He said, okay.
The second she cracked open the Bible, you could tell Nathan's face was just changing. And it was a different look than he's had kind of throughout that hour and a half of conversation.
In that moment, I've kind of gone through these motions before, just appease them, say what they were expecting to hear, and still, Joanna was so quick to be like, no, answer my question, bring it back, kept bringing it back to the thing that I didn't want to talk about. I don't think anyone's ever spent the time to dig that deep. She's like, I want to give you this. And it was actually a book, or something about Why You Can Never Be Good Enough by Andy Stanley. It was a little booklet. She gave it to me and I read what it said on it, and like everything flashed back.
We got to the verse around, you'll never be good enough. And I think that's what really kind of hit Nathan hard. 100% we felt the spiritual warfare. You know, we just felt the heaviness in the room.
He just kind of stood up, got nervous, and went downstairs.
And so Joanna grabs my hand and we just start praying, like, you know, Jesus, do not let Nathan go. Do not let him go.
Basically, my entire childhood was I didn't do anything right. I could never be good enough. That's kind of what brought up a lot of things. And I kind of needed a couple minutes to think about that.
And then when he came back up, had said, you know, I'm sorry guys, I had a panic attack, and then started sharing with us, and we had more conversations and more talks.
I started sharing more about my feelings about not being good enough and everything. And I remember that after we were all done talking, she's like, would you like to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And I said yes. And I remember it was so quick.
And he said, of course. And he said it so fast, I was almost like, man, God just totally had grabbed him.
She goes, I'm gonna pray, and then if you would like to pray, you can. You know, Derek was kind of just being empathetic and saying like, hey, you don't have to say a prayer out loud. You know, just kind of go through it in your mind and just kind of make that affirmation. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, I have to say it. So in that moment, I just started praying.
His prayer was so genuine and beautiful and so cool for us all to experience together. And then Derek closed us in prayer.
It was a beautiful thing that to hear him kind of open up on, you know, everything he's been working towards. It was never going to be good enough unless he truly found Jesus, which that night he did.
Nate meant a lot to us as a friend, and together we started feeling the burden for him that we so desperately wanted him to know the truth. And so us working together and working towards the same goal to share the gospel was just a whole different level than I feel like we had in our almost 3 years of marriage.
It was a team effort. It really was. It was a team effort for sure.
Yeah, praying together, we prayed a lot together. Besides, I think, the day we got married, and besides the birth of our children, I felt closer and more connected with Derek than I had in any other situation. It just felt like one. We felt like on the same page and like really fighting for the same thing. Fighting for each other, but fighting for something bigger than just each other. When
I came here and just seeing how Derek and Joanna were so open to me being there, and not only that, it was they wanted me there. I felt like I wasn't inconveniencing them by going there, even if they had craziness around them with 2 little kids, you know, everything going on, but I never felt like I was in the way. They always made time for that. So that's probably the first time, it's kind of sad to say, but it's probably the first time that someone actually took time for me. I didn't need anything to be their friend. I didn't need to prove like I was really cool or really smart or good at sports. Or, you know, I didn't have to do anything for them. They just gave to me regardless. We have an entire world searching, and I guess it was lucky that I came across people who are willing to, you know, stop their busy lives and kind of bring me into the current. So